Nelson with the Kansas City Business Association, and we have another businessman coming on. I've been knowing this man for about 10, maybe a little longer, because he came on our show really when we really was first starting our What's Up Kansas City branch about 10 years ago or more. And he was doing some big time promoting, one of the few black promoters that were bringing in big shows into Kansas City. And so I was able to start a relationship with him because I had did promoting at one time, and I knew some of the insides and outsides of promoting on the level that he was promoting. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mitchell Sudduth. And Mitch just had an event about 2 days ago. Hey, Mitch, the floor is yours. What I want you to do is give our community and our viewers a little background on you in general, where you grew up, where you went to school, and then we'll talk about your business career, when you got in business, and the different businesses that you got in, and some of the inside things that people don't see, whether you're selling toothpicks or what, and you're black and you're in business, and the lack of access to capital. Floor is yours.
Man, we're gonna be on here all night, Carlos.
That's all right.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we need.
yeah. But I'll tell you, I'm not originally from Kansas City, but I've been here a long time. Came here when I was 13. Originally from Mississippi, New Albany, Tupelo, Mississippi area. And came here. My father died when I was like 5 years old, and so raised by my whole entire family. I got like 22 first cousins, 20 second cousins, and growing, 10 uncles and aunts, and so it's a bunch of us. And so we migrated to Kansas City. Went to Paseo High School, graduated from Paseo, went to Central Missouri State University, left
Tell
Central Missouri State.
our audience what years these were. Whenever you telling your story,
Yeah,
in your business, give them a timeline.
yeah. Well, I mean, I graduated from Central Missouri State University. I think it was 1980. No, I'm sorry, 1994, 93 or 94. I can't remember. So
Your Paseo
graduated from Central.
class.
Yeah. Well, that was Central Missouri State University. Paseo, I
Yeah, no, I
graduated in
said your
'88.
Paseo class. Tell them when you came out of there, and
Oh yeah.
hold it, and because we have so many notable people that we go to school with,
Oh
name
yeah.
some of your classmates even.
Yeah. No, so yeah, and I was going to get to that. So
All
I
right.
came out in 1988, Paseo High School. Actually graduated with Anthony Peeler and I. Anthony Peeler and I went to school together, played baseball together since we were probably, well, actually 13. You know what I mean?
Anthony
And so,
played baseball.
oh yeah, heck yeah,
I
man.
had no
Anthony.
idea.
So Anthony was 13 years old or 14 years old. He was throwing 90 miles per hour at 13, 14 years old. You
Tell
know what I
our
mean?
audience a little bit, see, because we worldwide, who Anthony Peeler is.
Yeah. So well, Anthony, he's one of the guys. He was always taller than everybody in our class. I remember in junior high school, he was always the tall guy in the class and whatnot. He was really good at. He was actually good at football and basketball, as well as baseball. So he was like universal in all the sports and whatnot. And so we graduated high school together. Anthony, in actuality, before he graduated, he played in the Dapper Dan game and got the MVP of that game. And then was the All American game. I think he didn't. I don't know if he got MVP, but he showed out in that game too. And so Anthony ended up going to MU. I went to Central Missouri State University, and he ended up graduating. Well, coming out of MU, getting drafted by the Lakers, LA Lakers, with Magic Johnson. He played with Magic, James Worthy. When they were going out, Anthony was coming in, and I think he played with them played with Magic 1 year. Then Magic ended up leaving the league and whatnot. And so, but Anthony's a notable guy. I mean, he's played basketball for years, and ended up getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves and one other team. But he's probably one of the best players in this. Well, he was the best player in this region
No
across the
doubt.
nation.
I
Across
moved
the nation.
here in seven. I didn't know you went to school with Anthony. I
Oh
moved
yeah.
here in 1978, and Diamond Warren was one of my business partners. And In 78, hey, listen, that field house,
Oh yeah.
like on Friday nights or Saturday nights,
Yes.
depends on the game. I'd be like, hey, let's go to the club, or let's no.
The
Everybody
field
was
house
at
was
the
it. At the
field
field
house.
house. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And they were
Yeah.
telling me about this kid, Anthony Peeler, and I
Yeah.
went to that first game.
Mm-hmm.
That kid might have scored 30 or 40 points. He started off slow, but
Yeah. Yeah.
man,
Once he gets started.
he took that
Yeah.
game over.
Yeah. We had a saying when we was in school, it wasn't Southeast Field House, because it was called Southeast Field House, right? No, that was Paseo's Field House. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
y'all were dominating.
we ran it. Yeah, we ran the field house. You know what I mean? We were like the top team, and we would always go to state. You know what I'm saying? There was a team in St. Louis. I think it was Vashon High
That's
School.
who it is.
Man, Vashon would always have our number. Man, we could never beat those guys.
They
You know
still
what I'm
got
saying?
our number.
Yeah. You know, they had athletes up in Vashon, but we had good athletes too. And but we always went to state and had a good run. And Anthony was part of it with gosh, I remember George Curtis with Anthony. It was, you know what? They had a picture that they just had that was on the internet circulating last year, and it was like it was it was Anthony and all the team players, right? And they put the Bulls picture next to it. It was like, man, because our team was like the Chicago Bulls. We had a high school team that was like the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, hold
We
it.
had
I
George Curtis,
remember.
Anthony Peeler, Anthony Peterson, Lloyd. Gosh, man, we had a whole bunch of guys that were just incredible. Jay Donahue. I mean, these guys are jumping out the gym.
Hold it.
We no other guy.
Paseo,
That was
when I came, Paseo was running roughshod over the league.
yes, yes.
Yeah. They was like
We had a
rawhide.
guy, but I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this, and this is, and a lot of people don't know this. There was a guy that was so good in Kansas City. He should have went to the league like Kobe did right out of high school, but he ended up getting a little trouble. You know what I mean? That same story. A guy by the name of Joe Rainey. Joe Rainey. Joe, and Anthony, you might see this or whatever, but Joe was, in my opinion, Joe had game. Joe was better than Anthony because Joe had a killer crossover before the killer crossover even came out. You know what I'm saying? And then his eyes were a little cross-eyed. And so when he got down on you trying to do the crossover, you couldn't tell which way he was looking. He went around you. He was already up on the rim. Bam! He done dunked on you. Joe was only 6 foot. And some people will remember this, but Joe Rainey is his name. Joe was the guy they would see every year. Remember he had those 3-on-3 contests downtown? Right. Joe would be the one winning that every year, and he would win the dunk contest every year. Joe, I'm gonna tell you how cold Joe Rainey was. Well, in the dunk contest, he was the one who jumped over people. He's the one who started jumping over people in the dunk contest. And this is like in the 80s, like late 80s.
Say, that had to be in the 80s.
Really? Yeah, he started that though.
Iverson was making
right, like when Jordan came in. See, Jordan came in the league, and that's when our team was really good at Paseo, right? And so I remember I wasn't there, but I heard about it. I was out of town. I was went home for the summers, but they had something going on where Jordan came to town, and there was a show out in the field house. It was having a dunk contest. Joe Rainey was there. So I heard it was Joe Rainey and Michael Jordan going up against each other in the field house. And Joe was hanging with him dunk for dunk. High school kid. You understand? His vertical, he's 6 foot, his vertical, he could touch the top of the backboard. That was his ability. Yeah, springs all day long. You know what I mean? And so Joe and him going up against each other, the word is that Joe was hanging with him through the whole thing, every dunk, until Michael Jordan came from the top of the key. Michael Jordan came from the top of the key with that dunk. No way, he just
he did his Air Jordan move on him.
Yeah. Couldn't mess with that one. You know what I'm saying? But Joe and Anthony is probably the best players to ever come out of Kansas City when it comes to basketball.
We talking business. Now I wanna flip on Joe because Anthony, that's business. The Lakers, this and that. Yeah. You said he had a misfortune.
Yeah, Joe did. Yeah.
And because I tie the sports also with our business. We make one or two mistakes and it's over.
Man, cost us.
So
Cost
run
us.
that down and tie that into where we're going to go into uh, your first business ventures and things.
I'll say this, in regards to Joe Rainey. Joe Rainey is undoubtedly, in my opinion, probably the best basketball player to come out of Kansas City. Anthony had all around game, defense, everything and whatnot, and he was a great player. But with just the dynamics of what Joe was doing, Joe was really good. But Joe made a mistake. He first of all he ended up leaving Paseo. He left Paseo High School under Coach Bowie, which Bowie always kept his guys in line. You know what I mean?
I met
And
Bowie because
yeah,
he joined
didn't
the
play.
Kansas City Coaches Association. He was a strict guy because I had
Yeah, yes,
all them old coaches used to come to the office and we would meet. He was tall and
yeah.
he
Dark
reminded me
skinned
of
guy.
a disciplinarian for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. And so Bowie didn't play. And so whatever happened, I don't know what happened with Bowie and Joe. Joe ended up going and playing for Central. And I think that was kind of the downfall. It wasn't the same, because Joe was talented. And so Central was accepting him, of course, I'm sure. But he probably thought he could do what he wanted to do. But he was still in the streets, you know what I mean? And the street activity kind of got caught up with him and ended up having to serve some time in jail. The one thing is though, when he did come out, from my understanding, him and Anthony did connect, and Joe still had the ability to be in the league, but the league probably at that time was so political they probably didn't want him. That cost him,
Mm-hmm.
almost everything. You know what I mean? And so it was a situation where it's unfortunate we have these legends. You know what I mean? That could have been like he could have been like the Michael Jordan. You know. Going up against Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, any of them, and would have held his own and probably would have won in actuality because, Kansas City folks, man, when we do stuff, it's different. And we come and show out. Our mentality is being the best and showing out and doing what we do. And so I think Joe would have been that person, without a doubt. But
And
unfortunately, the situation happened.
that was a business opportunity missed and an economic opportunity missed. And
Oh
so,
man,
for any of our young people that are looking at this, uh,
stay out of the streets.
that there's a lesson to be learned. And Mr. Nelson was in the streets most of his young life, selling drugs and doing all kinds of things. But one thing I do find, and I was always people always had said this that our black young men that are in the streets and what have you, they literally geniuses to be able to
Yeah,
handle all of that stuff, the police, the this, the that,
yeah,
uh, not not being educated and using those talents to get into the general population, the general workforce or
right.
business force. So, uh,
Well, what happens on that though is that people just they take the easy route out. You know what I mean? A lot of guys be very good at what they do. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's selling drugs or whatever. Even pimping and pandering, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? They're good at what they do, but it's just misdirected. You know what I mean?
that's right.
One move, one step could have been somebody on Wall Street. They could have been somebody phenomenal business
But
person.
where I'm coming from, I like talking about these stories, but then where does the blame really lie? And as far as I'm concerned, it's the system. They have created a system that forces you to do certain things because you have the system, this capitalist system where they have all these shiny objects in front of you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you coming out of school. I know I came out in 1969, and you know what my what I wanted to be. I
What's
wanted
that?
to pump gas because
Is that right?
I'm
Gas station
just
attendant
saying
look cool.
you looking at
That was a cool
TV.
thing, wasn't it? The rag
Yeah,
man.
you looking at TV. There was only
Yeah,
about 4 or 5 channels then. Uh, the men in your life per se, the coach, or you want to coach basketball, you're looking at TV and you're seeing the happy gas station attendant and this and that,
yeah,
and you really don't have no hopes of going to college. My age group, 69 or the 60s, the first groups to go to HBCUs in mass.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
and you've got to look at even where the nation was back then. And that's
yeah,
where Trump is trying to take the nation back and never be industrialization like it was back then. Uh,
yeah.
and so,
They're actually about to get rid of jobs with AI.
right,
So
right.
yeah,
And so, when I look at that situation, I look at my situation as it relates to what woke me up to an extent. You can ask any black person, do you have somebody in your family or extended family that have gone to jail?
yeah.
90% of them, that's not the people's fault. Obviously, it's a system that is making that happen, or the drug
Well,
situation in our
yeah.
community. So now,
Well, I'm gonna say this though, not to cut you off, but I think it's a twofold issue. You know what I mean? The system is definitely preying on us. You know what I'm saying? Without a doubt. You know, but I still think at some point you got to hear the echoes of your family on the decisions that you make in terms of where you are. So, because when you're in that moment, and it's just like that moment in Boys in the Hood. Remember the movie Boys in the
yeah,
Hood?
yeah,
That movie Boys in the Hood, when Trey, when his father said, "Man, what you about to do?" When they didn't gun down the other brother who was a football player, they didn't gunned him down, and so now they about to get revenge, and so he comes into the house all bloody, and his father, he's like he going to get the gun or whatever, and so his father stops him at the door going out and say, "What you about to do?" He's like, they go through that scene, and so the son's like, "Okay, all right, you're right." But he goes to his room. When he goes to his room, he sneaks out the window.
right.
Now he jumped in the car, you know what I'm saying, with the other guys, and they about to go make this move. Take these guys out, take them down, right? And so his father is spinning those balls in his hand. Remember he had the balls?
Right. I'm
Yeah,
reliving it as you're
yeah,
telling me.
yeah. But what I'm saying to you is those balls were spinning, and so to me that was like the echoes of what his daddy was telling him. He was sending that message to him. You follow what I'm saying? He's in that car. They about to go kill these guys, about to take them out, and he's in the middle, and they're getting close. He taps dude on the shoulder, say, "Man, let me out. Let me out." You know what I'm saying? Dude looks at him and says, which was Ice Cube at the time. He looks at him and says, he didn't say nothing. He just said, "Okay." He knew he wasn't built for that. He knew he had other options. He knew that this guy, this one wrong turn could take him down a road that would alter his life forever. You follow what I'm saying? And so, and then Trey knew that, the guy who jumped out of the car. And so Ice Cube then went and did what they did, took these guys out, gunned them down in the parking lot. And then you see Trey afterwards, they're sitting on the porch, they're talking. And then Ice Cube walks away. Then the credits come up and shows 2 weeks later, he's dead. You follow what I'm saying? The choices, man.
They choices, but
You got a choice.
this is what I'm saying. You had a good point, but the point that you forget, you said your family. At this point, our kids don't have no families per se.
Some of them, not all
I
of them.
said, hold it. We're not talking. We're not talking about abroad. I'm talking about the same thing I said about going to jail. You can ask most black people, somebody's been in jail. You can ask most black
Yeah,
people, do you have somebody in your family that
yeah,
have used drugs?
yeah.
All right. So all I'm saying, all of that is not by coincidence.
Oh
And
no, by no
hold
means.
it,
I'm
hold
not
it.
saying that at all.
And you only know what you know. And when you have the situation where you don't have our males in the home and you have
Right,
females, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm saying what actually is happening in our community. And
right.
and so also because we're on the business show, we're never talking about starting our own businesses to our kids because
Well,
a lot of that energy that they sell in drugs, if we were doing some other things, they would see that and they would buy in. And
Yeah, yeah, no, that's right. It's all about what you show, what
right,
people
right.
see, what you
And you're
show them.
right, illustrating that movie. His dad put it in his mind and it took a minute to sink in.
Yeah, yeah, it took a minute, you know what I mean?
And
But once
then,
people start that ride, that long ride is what did it. He
right,
was thinking at that point, man, this is really the right move for me. You know what I mean?
because
And
I made
so,
so many wrong moves when I was a gangster. As I tell people now, I'm a gangster posing as a businessman. You can get it flipped if you want. Uh, but I've taken
I
all of
think
those skills and I
right,
found out I was much smarter than a lot of the businessmen that went to school and this and that.
right,
The thing that
right.
we're here, I want to talk about is the access of capital, access
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to
Right.
that. So now let's start going into your first businesses. And was you
Definitely.
married or what? Go.
Before we get into that, I'm going to say what you to echo what you just said about you were the gangster posing as a businessman. To be honest with you, I think we all are to some degree. It just depends on where we are in that point and how far you get pushed that you have to be a gangster. You know what I'm
I like
saying?
that. How
You know what I
far
mean?
you get pushed.
You know what I mean? So to the point where you get pushed, where you got to protect yourself, then you become the gangster. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys, and I'll be honest with you, there's guys out there that look at me because I wear the suits and stuff. I'm not wearing a suit today, but they look at me, think I'm a suit and coat tie wearing guy, which I am. But bro,
Yeah,
I'm a
we
family
are.
man too. I'm a family man too. And so if I got to protect my situation or my preservation, that's definitely gonna happen. You know what I mean?
And
And
it's
so I'm not
supposed to
saying that
happen.
to be, I'm not saying that to be, at talk gangster or act gangster, but there's a point to where people have a level of survival that they have to get to based on how somebody's coming at them. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the things can be worked out when it gets to those levels and whatnot. But some people just unreasonable or emotional, or even working off of arrogance or what do they call it when somebody is ego, ego. The friends edge them on about stuff or this or they, whatever. And so that's what creates those situations. So we got to get our level of skills together to start exercising to work with each other and talk to each other. But going into what you just said about the lack of capital, yeah, that's been the case. We've never had an advantage as a group of people in terms of being able to have access to capital. Well, I take that, but the thing is, I take that back. There was a point to where we did at one time have when we came together right after slavery. You know what
Right,
I
we're
mean?
talking.
That
Hold
was
on, excuse me, cutting you off. You're talking about Oklahoma, Harlem, and all our black enclaves, but that a lot of that capital we made.
I know. I know. That's what I'm getting to. You know what I mean? We've never had the government or anyone come to us and give us a line of credit, for our businesses or things of that nature, because they know. Like Doctor, I think it was Doctor, what's his name? The brother out of Philly.
Umar.
Uh, yeah, Umar. Umar. He said they'll give you a car loan, they'll give you a house loan. You know what I'm saying? They'll give you all these loans, a school loan, but they won't give you a business loan. So
They'll
you
give
can
you,
educate.
hey, they'll give these black churches $200,000 and three
Yeah.
hundred thousand. Won't give you uh, a $5 loan on something that you can build on.
Right, 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 right. And so with that being said, I'm gonna give you the story from my perspective and the reasons why. Once again, it goes back to slavery. When we came out of slavery, these folks didn't want to have anything to do with us, right? And so with them not wanting to have anything to do with us, we had to do our own. We had to build on our own, right? What they didn't realize is that we had skills. We did all the work. We did the labor. We did the fields. We planted the food. We built the buildings. We did everything. So we had our own skills. They didn't want to deal with us, and so we had to go out and build our own. So that's why you had so many black towns back there. It was over 200 black towns in America by 19. I want to say probably by 1910 or so. Over 200 towns are all ran by black folks in Black America. So we probably had more millionaires per capita then than we do now. You follow what I'm saying? just because of the way the economics of things were set up and whatnot. We were spending our money with our own folks because the Caucasian folks didn't want to have anything to do with us. You know what I mean? And so this is all facts. It's not fiction. Anybody can go look this up. You know, I want to say that Black Wall Street, considered, Greenwood, Oklahoma, next to Tulsa, was probably the most successful establishment. 32 square blocks of straight economics. That means east, west, north, and south. That was like as big as New York.
I was going to say
So just
that
so
was
just
no
think,
different from Harlem.
right. But what I'm saying to you is just think if that particular establishment was still around today, it would probably be the mecca of business and commerce, just because of how it was set up and the amount of money that was flowing through there, the number of people that were living there and whatnot. And I think, in my opinion, that's what scared, because I just heard this probably about a few months ago, that one of the things that happened was you had Caucasian folks that were now starting to come spend money over in the black neighborhoods, in Greenwood. From Tulsa, they were coming from Tulsa, spending money to Greenwood, and so they saw that as a problem, as a threat, and the government had to be behind this. And the only reason I say that is because there's no way every single town of that stature is obliterated, torn down, burned down. There's a situation created with a man and a woman, or something created where they rode on those towns and burned them down and killed folks and ran them off the land. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying all this to put it in preference. We did have money on our own for a long time, or to put it in perspective. We did have money, but it was our money. We were spending our money with our own selves. And these folks didn't, they never gave us any loans. You know what I mean? And so even up until now, even now, you may have a few people who get loans here and there, but on the whole, in my opinion, it should be part of reparations, that we should not pay taxes, maybe get loans, or even there needs to be a repayment back of monies, because our culture is still being affected. I mean, even mentally, physically and mentally. I mean, I look at where we are here in Kansas City. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Even Easter Truce, which has been quote unquote the dividing line. It's gentrification going on right now. Even Easter Truce now, there is not one family restaurant that's not a chain restaurant in Kansas City, Easter Truce. I mean, we got the mom and pops, we got Nieces, we got Gates, we got a couple of smaller restaurants, but none of them is not a 54th Street Bar and Grill, Applebee's, none of those restaurants where you go in and sit down, you know what I mean? Red Lobster, Cheddar's, Olive Garden, where you sit down with the family. You know what I mean? And so to me, all these things play into what you were talking about a little bit earlier. You were alluding to it a little bit earlier, not having any family. We've got family, but the family is so here and there, and
It's
so nobody.
compopulated.
Yeah. Nobody's sitting down, because traditionally you would sit down with your family at the table, and you would get information and instruction from your family on what to do and what not to do in the black culture, but it doesn't happen that way now. You know what I mean? And so it's so much stuff going on. Everybody's kind of discombobulated with handling things and whatnot. So, but to get to the point, yeah, you're right. We don't have capital. They're not extending us capital, and there are ways to get it, but then there's still the hurdles. People are still fighting credit issues. And that's just from struggle and things of that nature. You know what I mean? And so, and if credit is a part of that, then that's going to always be prohibitive for black folks. Not all, but some. You know what I mean? Because some people know the formula, some people know how to get the money. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. I understand credit, I know credit and whatnot, but still, at the end of the day, they always put something in there to where you don't know, and they're still denying you for the loans, the major money, or they tax you so much on it, it's not even worth it for you to have it.
So
You know what I mean?
I want to cut through the chase. Talk about your first businesses that you were involved in to where you're at now, and give a little short scenario. If you changed businesses, why you changed, and talk about raising your family as you are trying to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, well, the first business I started ever was called Show Me Showdown Group. It was a guy by the name of Roderick Burke and myself. Roderick came to me with an idea, and we worked on it. And he's really one of the business partners to Show Me Showdown, but just in the background, been silent for years and whatnot. But um, started Show Me Showdown Entertainment Group. That was an organization that or business that
What year?
that 2001, 2001. I started out doing like entertainment stuff, but it was step shows. It was
Tell
that
the
was the thing.
audience, name some of your shows and things that you were doing as you going along. Yeah, let
So
them roll
so
with
the
you.
first show I ever did was the Show Me Showdown National Greek Step Show, which was in Kansas City. Some people probably remember that. I had Hits from BET. If everybody know who Hits is, he used to do those skits on BET and whatnot. And a guy by the name of Al Scherer. And we had the biggest step show in the country, besides what they call Step Correct, which was up in New York. We were giving away the biggest prize. We were giving away a $5,000 prize back in 2001 for a step show.
That's
You know what I
major.
mean? Yeah, that's major. You know what I mean? And so, one of the stories about that is I had a group. We had steppers come from Memphis, from Philly, from Kansas City, and some other places that was in the step show. But this one group from Memphis was a late entry. They came. They were called the Unknown Sigmas. These guys came here and literally stole the show. They entered the competition late, but when they got here, man, they killed it. And I remember they said, "Hey, bitch, we really didn't have any money for the rooms," and I think I ended up getting them a room, and it was like 15 guys in one room. They all slept in one room. You know what I'm saying? And so being a fraternity, they probably were used to some of that stuff with
What you
pledging
gonna
and all that kind of
say?
stuff. You know what I'm saying? But they came here, and them guys literally killed it, stole the show. But what made me proud about that situation is they won this, and they won it fair and square because they were the best hands down. But what ended up happening is they won that prize money. They took that prize money and went to the big step show in New York and won the big step show in New York called Step Correct. You know what I mean? And so things like that, that was one of the things I did starting out, was starting with the step shows. I did that for a couple of years and
What
then
about the type of
did
money
it.
you progression, the type of money that was available then, and as you go on, how things have changed from a business perspective, and more you need more capital to bring these people. Because I told you when I
Yeah,
used to promote, you can get 4 or 5 groups for 50 grand all together. Now people
not
want
anymore.
50 grand for one.
Yeah, not
Sit
anymore.
down.
I think that Step Correct show probably cost me maybe, I mean, the step, not Step Correct, Show Me Showdown, National Week Step Show probably cost about 15 grand or 20 grand or whatever. And that was with all the building and all that stuff, the marketing, all that good stuff, and the entertainment that we had. And then from there,
What
did
did
the
you
18th,
make on that show per se?
40, you know what? I made $45,000 on my first step show, which is amazing. Step shows is normally like $5. This step show was like $25 to come to it. You know what I'm saying? It was a production. We had a whole thing going. You know what I mean? And so I did that, and then after that, I did the 18th and Vine Labor Day Music Festival on 18th and Vine. I was the first one to do a concert on the J. McShann Pavilion back there, because that's when they first started. That's when they first built 18th and Vine down there and had that little pavilion with the J. McShann Pavilion. And so I did that. After that, I did a show with Confunction at the Uptown Theater, and so that's when I started getting into the more heavier things, the bigger things, and whatnot. And so I did that, and then I had a couple of shows I did in Hawaii, the Killer Crossover Tour with Hot Sauce. So I did that, and then from there it was who else was it? It was somebody else from there. Oh, the Youngbloods. I did the Youngbloods in Hawaii, and there's some crazy stories behind that, but I have to tell you that off camera. You know what I mean? But so I did that, and then the next step after that was when I did the show with Charlie Wilson. That was the biggest show that I ever done because the production was different.
Where
You know what I
was it
mean? This
at?
guy, I did it at the Municipal Auditorium.
Mm.
Municipal Auditorium. It was Charlie Wilson, the Daz Band, Arcades. and that was the show that I put Lavelle on, and that's how Lavelle, ended up connecting with Charlie, and then Charlie 10 years later come back and get Lavelle and put him on tour with him. And once he put him on tour with him, Lavelle got his notoriety. He broke away from Charlie, started doing his own thing, and so he's doing his own thing now, which is good. I always try to wherever I can help, I try to help. Especially talented artists or entertainers. And put them on a show. You know what I'm saying? And so, but Charlie was the biggest production. I think I paid Charlie Wilson $50,000 to do that show. It turned out great. Everybody had a great time. The show made money. Um,
Everybody
um,
likes Charlie, and everybody. I think they be calling him Uncle Charlie nowadays. I don't
well,
know.
that's when he started it, though. Right
Okay.
around that time when he started the Uncle Charlie thing, right? Like that
Oh,
was in
so that's
2009.
not just the people calling me. He started it.
He started that. Yes,
I
yeah, he
didn't
started
know. I
that.
just was seeing people saying Uncle Charlie, like everybody wanted to be connected with him in a
Right.
family type way.
No, he started the Uncle Charlie stuff back in, I want to say it was 2008, 2009. And that was his new rebranding because he connected with Snoop Dogg and some other people and Fantasia and all those folks.
All right,
And
now I
so
can see the Uncle
and
Charlie.
so now, and so that's where the Uncle Charlie thing came from. And honestly, Snoop Dogg might have nicknamed him that. Hey, whatever. I don't know. But that's a question I'm gonna have to call and ask him about. Hey man, how did you come up with that name? Who gave you that name? Did you come up with that name? You know what I mean? His manager's name is Michael Perrin, which Michael's mother is married to him to marry to Charlie and whatnot. And so Michael is a phenomenal manager. You know what I mean? From where he got Charlie and took Charlie where he is now, man, Charlie's top of the heat. Plus, Charlie still got his pipes too.
Mhm.
He can sing better than a lot of guys still in the industry now. For the most part, and it's almost about time for just swinging back through here too. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that coming up soon. But so Charlie Wilson went from Charlie Wilson, did Kim and Lettucey, introduced Lettucey to this market. And then the next step was to go to the big house because all these shows was done at Municipal and the Midland Theater and whatnot. Big shout out to Mike over there at the Midland Theater. He's the vice president of AEG now. He's been very helpful to me. You know what I mean in terms of me and being in this industry and him showing me the business and the game and whatnot. And so, but yeah, so I did that. But the next step was, man, I had set it in my mind that I wanted to do a show at the T-Mobile. Well, it was Sprint Center at the time. It was Sprint Center. I want to go to the Sprint Center next, right? And so I'm saying this in my mind, just manifesting it. All of a sudden, the opportunity came, man. I bought T.I here, took him to the Sprint Center, the biggest show I'd ever done. You know what I'm saying? Um, got
Talk about
got
that
set.
show. Hold it. I want you to talk about that show, but talk about the financial part of the show, and talk about the trials and tribulations. Because when I told you I used to promote,
Yeah.
especially here in Kansas City, and the black audience really didn't buy their tickets until almost the day of the show, and that shit used to have me on pins and
Yeah,
needles.
yeah. Yeah, hey, it still happens. You know what I mean? That's I won't say it never goes away, but you got to kind of train the audience, and then based on the promotions that you have, that dictate whether they're buying sooner or later. But you just got to get it out there, and you got to make sure it's somebody they want to see. If you can mesh all that for me together, then you
You
can
can
have a
win.
substantial sales prior to the show, or at least be break even. On your way to making money. You know what I mean? And so for that particular show, there was a guy who came to me and he had a friend that wanted to invest in some concerts. And so that's how that show was able to happen, along with the money that I brought to the table and the money he brought to the table. That's how we did that show at the T-Mobile, or it was Sprint Center at the time. And as a matter of fact, I remember there was some other guys who came in and got involved with that. So it was such a big show. That show cost, I want to say, it was 400 and some odd $1,000 because I had T.I on the show, there was B.O.B on the show, Future was on the show, and it was a
Woo,
new girl who was just starting. Her name was
baby.
Seventh Streeter, huh?
You was popping because Future and them back then was just making their bones.
Right. Yeah. And so, and one of the issues we had with that particular show is that when I got Future on the contract, his original contract was like $30,000. I got him on the contract for $30,000, great deal. He had one song on the radio at the time, but by the time the concert came around, Future had four records on the radio, and all of them were trending in the top 10. So what ended up happening was they came back to me and was saying to me like, "Hey, we need more money." Like, huh? Need more money? We got a deal already. What are you talking about? And so what was going on was Future had all these records. Only one of the records was his. All the other records he was on records with somebody else, with Kelly Rowland and something else with somebody else. But those weren't his records, right? But they were all on the radio and they was all hitting like in the top 10. And so they said, well, we got to pull him back. We got to put him in the studio so that he can finish up his album. So he's not gonna be able to do the show. I'm like, no, man, you can't do this. We got a deal already. You already got my money. You got a deal. We got a deal. What's going on here? And so the partners that I was partnered with, they didn't want to make no promise. Hey, bro, this is stuff that people don't really know about, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why.
And so this really happened. This is no lie. This really happened. And so I told the partners about it. This was kind of their first time around the block doing this stuff. I'm telling them I don't want to pay Future anything. I don't want to pay him any extra money. I said, if he doesn't show up, we're just going to sue him. You follow what I'm saying? We're going to sue him. And so I'm saying now we can sue for the amount of what we could have made in the whole arena. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But these guys like pleading with me, hey, yeah, no, let's do it. Let's just pay him so we can make sure he show up. This is our first show. We don't want anybody to talk bad on us, none of that kind of stuff. I'm like, I wasn't concerned about that. I was only concerned about the money, at the box office and things of that nature. I knew if Future wasn't on the show, that could be an issue. You know what I mean?
Big issue. Overall,
yeah. Well, yeah, because a lot of people was coming to see Future. Most people come to see T.I, but a lot of people was coming to see Future also. At that time.
He's up and rising. Just got 3 new hits on the radio. I want to get with him.
Right. And I think this is in 2013 or 14 when I did that show. You know what I'm saying?
Did he come?
No, he came. He came. Well, what happened was these guys kept pleading with me, hey, let's just pay him here. I'll give you the extra money. Let's just pay the guy and get him on because we want to make sure we can do this show. And so we ended up paying him, and whatnot. And the crazy thing was Future came to the show. He flew in on a downtown airport. SUV picked him up, brought him to the arena. He walked straight from he got out of the SUV, walked straight to the stage, jumped on stage, did the show, walked off the stage, and walked back to the SUV, went back to the airport, and flew him out of here. And so I think they wanted extra $20,000 or something like that. But what really happened was that extra $20,000 really just paid for his plane.
I was getting ready to say
the private plane. I think at that time it cost like $40,000, $45,000 for a private plane. You know what I'm saying? To fly from here to LA or Atlanta, wherever he was.
All of that could have affected your bottom line. This is what I want to say because we're talking business. And I said that I used to promote, we had a big show at Municipal, the Rodney King incident. So Mayor King was the mayor then. I think we had Chris Cross and a lot of them. They were hot back in.
Right, I knew that. Yeah,
we had did 2 shows at Municipal, but this show was on a Friday, and the Rodney King verdict was coming out. And Cooper and them canceled our show at the last minute because they
didn't want that.
Yeah,
they thought it was gonna be a riot or
right. If that verdict wasn't right, and so
which it wasn't.
We lost our money with the groups, but the city, just like you said, you will sue.
Yeah,
the groups was like, hey, you can't provide the venue. Hey, you lose your money. So the city tried to give us the venue free 2 times and give us Kemper. I think Chris Fritz was managing all of their facilities. But
he might have been.
Yeah, but hell with the facility. We got $50,000, $100,000 out there with these groups.
Right.
we can't get back. And if we need that liquid to bring more people, the facility ain't going to do us no good. You giving us a
Right.
facility and we can't. And so a lot of this conversation, I'm saying our audience don't understand, whether it's promoting or whatever, the back part of being an entrepreneur and then being a black entrepreneur. And I don't think the same thing would have happened if it was a white promoter, because they knew the legal ramifications
Right,
behind
right,
that.
right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. They would try to pull that with probably one of the white promoters. You know what I mean? Um, just because they know that white promoter's probably going to come after them in a major way. And would win. Would have just do rights to win. You know what I mean? And so, it is a challenge sometimes. But when they know that you know business, they won't tend to jack with you a lot. I guess, and I'm not tooting my own horn or anything like that, but when I come in from a business aspect or a business professional way. You know what I mean? So when they know I come in, this is what I want, this is what I'm asking for, what else can I do, whatever. But I can't let you just push me around on things. When I know what my legal rights are
Have you
in regards to it.
have you done any partnerships with the city or the county or the state? They're talking about the 2026, this,
FIFA,
yeah,
FIFA.
FIFA, and the different things. And with you being a black promoter, because at times when I was doing other things, sports events, and you had another different city manager, they would partner and put some money in or give you the facility free because they get it and you just pay. Have you ever been able to work anything like that out? Because when I was promoting, the city manager was going to let me have the Sprint Center for $19,000. That's what it costs to pay the ticket people
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
Hard,
And
hard costs. Yeah,
yeah,
hard costs to
and
put
I
out.
was
Yeah.
going to bring some things here, and that helps make some things happen. Have you anyone approached you about any deals like that, or you approached the city or the county?
No, nobody's really approached. Well, I take that back. Nobody's approached me, but I did make a statement on something I was going to do for FIFA here, and I'm glad you said that. Just remind me to bring that up. But I have a deal that I'm about to bring the Missouri Wine and Jazz Festival back to Kansas City. I did this right after COVID up at Liberty Memorial, and a lot of people attended. It was very successful, made money. You know what I'm saying? Had Alex Bouillon, and I think it was what's her name? She blues jazz rock artist here. Um,
Ida
Samantha Fish.
Macbeth and them type.
No, Samantha Fish. Samantha
Oh,
Fish, man.
I remember her.
This girl plays that guitar, and she's really nice. She had a song called "Bitch on the Run." It's like real hot. You know what I mean? And so, um, if anybody get a chance, check out Samantha Fish. But yeah, no. I really haven't had anybody come to me like that. But I was talking to uh, the Kim over at the Heartland Chamber of Commerce, and I was telling her, hey, yeah,
Beautiful.
Kim, I'm doing this, huh? Yeah, I was,
Beautiful. I'm saying we work together with them. That's one of the few
yeah,
organizations that we see eye to eye, that we don't have to be in competition, that we can work
yeah,
and complement one another.
yeah. She supports me in stuff that I do. So anytime I have a show, she'll send it out across the wire, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But Kim, I was talking to her. I said, yeah, Kim, I'm thinking about doing this. She said, oh, really? She got really excited. She said, where are you gonna do that at? I said, well, I'm thinking about doing it at Frank Thesis Park, right over there in front of the museum by the plaza. You follow what I'm saying? You know that park over there, Frank Thesis Park,
Yeah, I know
where I'm
what
talking about?
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Which is perfect, right? And so I said, but I got to get with the city to try to get this done because they're about to close the window on this deal. She said, well, Mitch, why don't you think about bringing the 18th of Vine? And I'm like, and I kept talking. I said, Kim, I don't know about that. And I kept talking. And then she heard me out again. And then she said, Mitchell, you should think about bringing this to 18th of Vine. And because we need a good showing in the district. So when she said that, I said, okay, hold on. You know what? You're right. I need to bring this down on 18th and Vine. You know what I mean? And so I know that the 18th and Vine is going to be finished by that time and whatnot. But I told her, I said, okay, let's do it. I'm going to bring the Missouri Wine and Jazz Festival to 18th and Vine, and we'll do 2026 here. I'm doing it actually in July 11th to 12th for the quarterfinals. Is what I'm doing for the game. And so that's when all the big wigs are really going to be here. That's like our playoffs for the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And so, and Argentina is probably the favorite to win. So I'm bringing that. But as far as the city being involved, I'm dealing with the 18th and Vine folks. They're connected to the city, and so I'm being extended some of the things that will be uh, that they're taking advantage of. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily coming from the city, but coming from 18th and Vine.
They
And
committee,
so,
they'll deal with the city on financial and a lot of other things and try to, I presume, stakeholder.
yeah. And so James is who I'm dealing with over there. Kim put me in touch with James. I already knew James. I didn't know he took that position though.
Mm.
And so James is who I'm dealing with over there. And so we've been talking back and forth, working everything out, the logistics, and we're gonna put it together. We're actually gonna be able to show the game because we now have access to a license to show the game during the Missouri Wine and Jazz Festival, a 2-day event. I've already talked to Brian Culberson them. We're probably gonna have Brian Culberson be the main act on one day, and probably Najee on the second day if I can get a hold of Najee. Well, I'm not sorry. I've already talked to Najee then. We just got to figure out what we go do. If they're gonna be able to do it or not. So, but Brian Culberson, Najee, will have some artists from Argentina probably and some of the other places on this show also for this event. And so, as far as the city goes, I mean, I'd love to get some of that NTDF money. You know what I mean? Since I'm gonna be advertising regionally, you know, even internationally, actually, we'll probably advertise in Argentina and some of the places where the people will be coming from for this event. And so, so that's what I'll say to that. You know, if the city wants to help, if anybody's watching this from the city, hey, I'd love to have some NTDF money or whatever dollars you can afford or one of those slush funds you guys have to help out. You know what I'm saying? They can always find some money for something, right?
I think this is a good project, and it's not just a project. I'm just appalled that the transfer or the trickle down of economics. I don't care about the entertainment and all of that. At the end of the day, after the lights are off, how much money came to black people?
Yeah, yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
I'm interested in.
were we able to participate and get our share of the dollars involved with FIFA? You know what I mean? In which we're what 10, 12% of the population here in Kansas City. So we should be able to get 10, 12% of all that FIFA money or dollars that come into this city some kind of way. You know what I mean?
So,
Which would probably be half of that, to be honest with you. Won't be, that much, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so Mitch, we've been on for a minute and probably will be breaking this down into different segments. What would you have to say before we close out to young entrepreneurs, and what would you have to say to our general public? And when I say our general public, I'm talking about the black population or people of
People,
color,
the people.
and not just
Yeah,
here in the city.
yeah. No, I would say to young entrepreneurs first and foremost, man, just if you have an idea, man, go and think about the think about the idea first. Think about it first. Develop it in your mind on what you see you want to happen, and then think about the end result of it. And then once you do that, start seeking out things and people and places that you can make this happen. It's just that simple. It's not even a hard thing. You just have to think about what you want first, right? So with this wine and jazz festival, I thought about it. I know what I want. I know what the end result is I want from it. And so now I have to go and start with the mechanics of putting it together step by step, and making it happen. I've already this particular project I've already done it before, but I'm just saying, just as an example, that's what I would say to entrepreneurs. Whatever you're thinking, think about it. Make sure that it is something that you can definitely make money with. That it's not something that's like off the cuff and kind of weird and can't, really, what I'm saying? That's not a viable project. Make sure it's viable and something that people will adhere to or come to or participate in. You know, um, And so with that, I'll leave that with the new entrepreneurs, but with the people in itself, man, we just need to support each other in general across this city, across this state, across the country, across the world. We just need to start supporting each other. It doesn't matter if you're African, if you're black, if you're whatever. We just need to start supporting each other. We've been lied to for a long time, and now it's time for us to come together and start re-spending our money with each other and supporting each other in projects and coming together. But people got to trust each other too at the same time. And I think that's probably one of the biggest issues with Black folks, is the trust level, because people are already thinking about money before they can understand, hey, let's just come together and make it happen. And as long as we know our parts, prior to and when we convene and when we go back to our spaces, our parts, our shares, then that's all it should be.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
play your
saying? Because I'll be
position.
honest, yeah, right. And not everybody can be on the front. Me, I'm on the front, but people don't know I'm on the front. I don't want people to know I'm on the front. You know what I'm saying? The front line. I don't want people to know that I'm doing this, because all that's going to happen is people are either going to want tickets or they're going to hate on me. You know what I'm saying? In regards to what I'm doing, or they don't want to make me rich, so to speak. And I'm not like rich or anything. I always say I'm rich in knowledge. I'm rich in knowledge, rich in culture, or whatever. Money's just a tool that comes and goes. One day you have it, one day you don't. You have to get it back, whatever the case may be. It just comes and goes. You don't sit on the money. Don't be a fool and sit on your money. You got to exercise the money, because even exercise the money will bring you experience, knowledge and experience. You know what I'm saying? And so I say people just need to start supporting each other. Black folks, I won't say people, Black folks
Yeah.
just need to start supporting each other. Let's be clear. Black folks need to start supporting each other, number one. Number two, need to start trusting each other. Everybody makes mistakes. You know what I mean? Like this event with Joe Torre, it was a trial run, and
Hey,
some mistakes were made.
before you say you talk about that show before we get off.
Joe Torre show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it came to me. Feel Good owns a place called the Peridot, and inside the Peridot, Peridot was an entertainment complex, and Feel Good is one of the guys when I was growing up. I looked up to. People don't know this story. I've been, he's been telling, because I told him he didn't even understand how the effect he had on me and some of the guys we were in high school. So Phil was probably 5, 6 years older than us. I want to say maybe 7 years older than us. Phil was kind of tall, kind of a cocky guy, stocky guy, had muscles. You know what I mean? But he was one of the first guys we saw doing business. And when I say doing business, Phil was like the manager of Wendy's, Wendy's the restaurant. He was like a regional manager for all the Wendy's. And so he would come to the school and he would hire some of the brothers, some of the guys, the kids in school. And so everybody kind of looked up to Phil. Man, this guy gave me a job. This guy did this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention, his wife was my teacher, Miss Good, Cynthia Good. Man, pretty lady, man, pretty lady. And she was a little older than Phil. Phil like older women. You know what I mean? And he was a young guy. I think Phil was like 25 at that time, maybe, or 20, no, 23 or 24, something like that. But nevertheless, Phil was one of the first guys that we saw doing business on that level,
At
right?
Wendy's?
At Wendy's. He was a regional manager for all
Hey,
the Wendy's
hey,
in Kansas
let me
City.
tell you something. You remember I told you I was
Well,
founding board member of the Full Employment Council?
yeah.
So Wendy sat on the board. Dave's daughter sat on the board with me.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, hold it. The Full
Nice.
Employment Council. We had senior presidents of IBM and
Right.
different things,
Right.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
on the job training. That's probably what he had going on
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, yeah. So Phil had stopped all the Wendy's with kids from the high schools. You know what I'm saying?
That was
And
excellent.
so and so he took that, because he was making, I think Phil was making a bunch of money back then too, because as a regional manager, he made money, right? And
And
so
being black,
he was a
they
black
didn't
regional
have a bunch
manager.
of that back then.
Yeah, this is like 1986,
Yeah,
87.
I told you the Reagan was in office when all this stuff was going on, man.
Yeah, yeah. Reaganomics, man, that killed us. That really killed us, though. People, people don't realize that he cut a bunch of programs that we were benefiting from. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
And our people were progressing. You know, but going back to Phil, so Phil did that, and as soon as he left that, he opened up a chain of convenience stores, good to go convenience stores. And so some people remember, some people, the young kids probably don't remember that, but the older folks know.
I used to
He had
gamble
that.
with him and his brother
Oh, okay, nice.
back in the day. I'm
Yeah,
like,
cars and all, huh?
a lot of your black businessmen, they come
Yeah,
from the streets. There's no ifs,
yeah,
ands,
yeah, yeah,
or buts, and
yeah.
learned how to do business. He had the place on Cleveland and almost Meyer. The Good Brothers, just like Chris, they they got a history of
Chris Good, his
yeah,
son.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the long story of it is that Phil had all these businesses, the Emerald House, the Brass Ring, those places, and so I've always looked at him as a really good businessman, and him doing these different things, and doing things nobody else was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't see anybody else doing these things, or if they were doing it, they wasn't telling us. You know what I mean? Which is uninspiring in itself. When you don't know and nobody sees you in that role, then you don't think you can necessarily do it, right? And so that's the other thing. We got to start showing each other that you know there are people in these roles that can do these things, right? And so, long story short is that place out there that I was helping out with, I was really doing it to help Phil, and so I put the deal together with Joe and Phil to make it happen, and it's called the Peridot Entertainment Complex, and inside of that is going to have a lot of different businesses. Tasha's Emerald Lounge is one of them. We're going to be doing comedy there on a regular basis, and then we're about to start a 40 and over happy hour Friday happy hour, whereas you
Where's
have to be
this
40 and over.
located at?
It's 8809 East 350 Route 350 Highway, right there in Raytown. The
Give
old
me a
Stadium
landmark.
Nissan dealership.
Give me
The
a
old,
landmark.
the old Stadium Nissan, the old Stadium Nissan dealership, right across from the Denny's.
All right, all right, all
Right
right.
across from Denny's, right there. You know what I mean? You know
Know
where
exactly
Sutherland's
where
and all
you're
that stuff.
talking about.
Yeah.
They used to have a go-kart place. Uh, at any rate, your next move.
My next move is I'm working on a show with LMA. Hope to have that done here real soon. And then I've got this show with the Missouri Wine and Jazz Festival. Looking at bringing Charlie back before the end of the year, probably like September, October. Um, and those are my next moves. I had a deal where I was trying to work with Chris Brown them to get some stuff done, but the funding, once again,
Lack of
Chris wants a bunch of
access.
money. Yeah, Chris. I mean, Chris is doing stadium tours. He's getting 40 to 50,000 people a night, and so he's commanding about $2.5 million to do the show. But it's well worth it because it's profitable. If you do the math on 40,000 people times the average ticket, numbers
What
incredible.
did the average ticket cost nowadays?
Man, you're going on average about $99.
I haven't. My daughter, that's 45. I think this one is. She be going to St. Louis to see these shows and different things.
Yeah.
I be like,
Now
damn.
it depends on the artist though, because like Chris Brown's show, his average ticket was probably about 175 because it was a stadium show. You follow what I'm saying? It was a stadium show.
Well, see, I haven't followed any of that stuff in 20 years, and
If it's an arena show, it's probably going to be about $99 a ticket because the way Ticketmaster AXS is set up now, the ticketing, the federal law now is you have to include all the taxes and all the ticket fees in the ticket itself. So before you would see a ticket, it'd be $99, and you say, "Yeah, I'll pay that." You click the picture, you pay the ticket, and then you had to put all these fees on top of it. Another $20 for the ticket, another $5 for taxes or whatever. So a ticket that was $99 is now $124, $125. People could deal with that, right? But people see the tickets online now, they see $99, they think it's going to be, more on top of that. Or they see $115 ticket, $120 ticket, they think it's going to be exponential on top of that. And so the fact of the matter is, it's now all the numbers are included in the ticket, and so that's why the ticket's higher because the promoter doesn't get the $99. So if it's a $99 ticket, the promoter's probably only getting maybe $75 of that ticket. You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know who the promoter is. If it's Live Nation, if it's AEG, or if it's the actual promoter bringing the people spending the money, or I'm sorry, if it's Ticketmaster. You know what I'm saying? Because Ticketmaster's fees are so high.
I
They
remember
make
when
money
they first
regardless.
started.
Yeah.
They cornered them because when I was promoting, Ticketmaster, I think, was really in its infancy. And how we used to sell tickets, you leave tickets at Maxine's restaurant, you leave tickets at this
Yeah.
one or that one. Uh, that has really changed, has it?
Yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah, you don't really do that anymore. You don't.
Yes,
Yeah,
Seven
the
Heaven.
box. Yeah, box office don't want you to do that because they want to get their share of it, the ticket revenue. Because if you put tickets different places, they have to be on consignment first and foremost if
Right.
they will do it. You know what I'm saying? And so they don't really want to do that because they want to make sure they get their money. You know, and typically when you put it in places like that, people always want to negotiate. Hey, can I get it for this? I want to buy 5 tickets. Give me $10 off each ticket or something. Nah, you can't do that. This
Yeah,
is an
the
organized
business
system.
has just really turned into business because I was in it in the early
Yeah,
stages, and at least here in Kansas City, and I think I told you I bought the first shows out to Starlight from
nice.
Black Promoter per se, uh,
Yeah,
but it was a
it's
plum pleasing pleasure talking to you today. And
yeah, yeah.
as we always say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good day.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.